Hi, my name is Leeroy. I am an artist and designer, mostly based in the Philippines. You've caught me in the middle of working on my piece for the 23rd Biennale of Sydney. This particular work is going to be installed at the facade of the Information and Cultural Exchange building. I've spent almost 3 weeks now working on random discarded objects, collected surplus materials that we've sourced from volunteers, from reverse garbage, into this extraordinary biomechanical growth formation that resembles a kind of Baleta tree. The Baleta tree from where I'm from is this sacred tree. It is this sinewy looking natural structure that starts out as a vine and wraps itself around existing trees. And you'll see it as having prop roots growing out of its branches and becoming secondary trunks. So it resembles a kind of natural cathedral of sorts, and hence it's become a place of worship in Southeast Asian mythology. You'll see it having offerings at the base of its trunk, and it is believed to house spirits. So yes, it's a recurring motif in my work. I actually started working on my Balete series back in 2009 when I accidentally chanced upon a recycling center in Bendigo in Australia, here. And I encountered a large pile of discarded irrigation hoses, washing machine hoses, and swimming pool cleaning hoses. And we got the huge pile for like a few dollars because we didn't really have a budget for me to work with. And I just basically spent time with them, played with them, allowed my hands to dialogue with the material, and what resulted was a kind of Baleta Tree structure. And I've been doing iterations of this idea of the Baleta Tree since it's very close to my heart. Growing up in the Philippines, we grow up hearing about stories of, spirits residing in the tree, warnings from our, grandparents to not go too near, because somehow, under Spanish rule, the tree has become a kind of malignant space. It's been demonized as being the abode of evil spirits. So if you get too close, you either get cursed or suffer something undesirable. And so this is kind of my way to just kind of reclaim this idea of the Baleta tree, of me also trying to kind of create my own hybrid version of it that combines my fascination for sci-fi, for speculative fiction, with available resources as well. So this new iteration for the Sydney Biennale makes use of an assortment of wastes and discarded objects collected from the material culture of Sydney itself. It's all a kind of a game of chance as well. I don't ever fully know what kind of materials I'll end up working with when I visit a particular place. So there's this part where I have to go through the motions of visiting, market districts, recycling centers, surplus shops, the dollar stores or the equivalent of dollar stores of these different countries, just to get a sense of the objects that they use in their daily lives and the objects that they interact with. So behind me are the segments for this relatively massive Balete structure that we'll be putting up in the next few days. I also managed to collect some unwanted bamboo pieces from Cave Urban, who's doing a large-scale floating installation at the Cutaway. They were kind enough to donate their unwanted bamboo strips, the strips that they weren't able to use. And I've since, used them as the base structure wherein all these other surplus industrial scraps and discards will be transformed into organic textures and forms that resemble, natural growths, but also all very sci-fi due to their industrial nature. As I originally come from the south of General Santos City in the Philippines. It's known as a fishing town, and there was basically no art during the years that I grew up there. There was no internet, so I had to be creative in sourcing my artistic influences, like this came in the form of comic books or like illustrated card games that I've encountered, and a lot of sci-fi and fantasy. So this has kind of became the foundation for my sensibility for form. Also growing up there, people generally don't throw things away. Plastic bottles get turned into Christmas decoration or any other decorative element used for festivals, or just reused and reused until there's no hope for it. So yeah, I've learned to apply this principle into my practice by responding to what's available, and has since kind of been the spine of how I respond to whatever I encounter. I can honestly say that it all stems from growing up in that place.